Hey everyone, so it's that time of year where we go through the 13 Fs and get some ideas for our own research. Now the reason why I'm doing any of this is because, look, I'm still learning a lot about investing. I'm sure you're still learning a lot about investing, and we can get ideas from the great investors who are managing billions of dollars in their funds. They've been doing it for decades. They've got far more experience than you and I, and this is a great place for us to hunt for cool ideas. And this is kind of the purpose of my entire channel. I'm trying to show you a good way to find ideas and to sort of look at investing in, there's a lot of crap on YouTube, and I'm trying to give you a no bullshit approach to investing. The first person I want to go through is Lee Lu at Himalaya Capital, and the only change here is that he has been buying more of Google or Alphabet, both the C class and the A class shares. Google's a great company, as you can see by this portfolio. These are like massive mega cap companies, and this is a bit of a fortress portfolio that Lee Lu is developing here. And Google's a great business, okay? He thinks it's good buying sometime in the last 3 months, so that's interesting for us. Next up is Bill Ackman, and as you can see, there's been a little bit of reduction going on. Now that'll just be for fees. So when you see these like reduced by 0.85 and 0.18%, that's going to be him freeing up some money to pay himself and the people who works for him and things like that. That'll be the management fee. So I would say there's actually been no change here from Pershing Square. Now we go take a look at Norbert Lu at Punch Card Management, and this is really interesting because Norbert Lu doesn't make many investments. As you can see, there's only 4 here on this list, and I can't even remember the last time I've seen him add a position here. So we've got a new ad, which I find fascinating, which is Smith & Wesson Brands, which is the gun manufacturer. I'm actually quite familiar with this. Growing up in a farm in Australia, I'm familiar with guns and the bullet manufacturers and how they work and all these types of things. But I'm actually not a gun person. I don't really have any, I think it's quite political as an industry. I haven't done any work in any of this field before, so this is way outside my comfort zone in terms of an investment. Just because I'm familiar with the products doesn't make it comfortable, anywhere near comfortable, to start researching for me personally. Maybe there's something here for the gun lovers out there, for anyone who's from a farm like me who grew up with these brands. Maybe there's a really interesting business here and there's a lot of growth to come. I assume this has been around for many decades. I remember this brand as a child, and my grandfather talking about this. So Norbert Lu is a very smart guy, and here's a new idea for you if you want to do some research. Now let's jump over to Warren Buffett at Berkshire Hathaway, and look, there's been a little bit of movement here and there. Occidental Petroleum added 16% to that investment, so they're still adding into that, which is, I find, interesting. And Ally Financial, which is, if we just went back to Norbert Lu, he has a big stake in Ally Financial as well. So the fact that Warren Buffett at Berkshire Hathaway has been buying, that's essentially a new purchase, 234% increase. That's a big addition. So Ally Financial is another name that maybe we should be looking at. We've got Norbert Lu and Warren Buffett. There's some fantastic names invested in this business. So I don't know anything about Ally Financial, but that's something that we should be maybe taking a look at. Next up is Rob Vanella out of Switzerland, and I think the interesting change here is that, well, actually I know Rob Vanella's portfolio has just been getting punished the last 6 months. I think it's down like 40% or something. But I think it's interesting to see that even though Trupanion is a really small percentage of the portfolio, he's essentially nearly doubled that position in the previous 3 months. So look, Trupanion is a business that I've been actually doing a lot of work in personally. It's something that I'm still trying to build up some knowledge in, but I've met the CEO, and the annual reports are fascinating. So Trupanion is actually right up there on my watch list, and it's something that I'm working diligently through at the moment. So there's an idea for you as well. Now I'm getting all this information in Dataroma, and as you can see here with Michael Burry's portfolio, it only has one investment in Geo Group, which is, I think they run prisons in America. But if we go over to TIKR Terminal and I look at Scion Asset Management, I can see he's actually got a lot more positions than that. I think there's 8 or 9 here. And the reason that they're not coming up in Dataroma is because a lot of these are in England or Japan. So we've got 6 of the companies here in Japan. So Michael Burry has been searching and digging and investing in Japanese stocks, which I find very interesting. So the Japanese market is, if I look at just like a general like PE ratio of the market over there compared to other markets, for a first world country, it's really low. So I can see why there's someone like Michael Burry, who's a real value guy, is digging over there and investing in stocks in Japan. Anyway, there's some more names for us. Now we look at Pat Dorsey, and he's a far different investor to Michael Burry. And these companies here, Wix, Facebook, Disney, Google, Upwork. The big addition here is Roku, which he's doubled the position there. Upwork, which is almost a double as well. I'm very familiar with Upwork. I use it all the time. Look, this is a great place for me to start looking around in for companies. I haven't got an investment in any of these, but Pat Dorsey is looking as long-term as possible. And he thinks these are the types of businesses that are the future. Yeah, anyway, just some more names for us. I think it's cool that he's been adding to Upwork and Roku. Don't know anything about Roku, don't even know what that is, but Upwork I'm super familiar with. So it might be interesting for me to take a look at that one. Next is Seth Klarman at Ballpost Group. And look, again, like Bill Ackman, we're seeing a lot of reduction here. I think he's freeing up some cash to make some new purchases, plus there'd be fees involved with running Ballpost Group and all sorts of things. I'm not going to get too wrapped up in the sells unless they're really big sells. Maybe the Intel sell is interesting. But the buys here of Warner Brothers Discovery, which I've heard on the Twitter world that it's severely undervalued. Don't know. I haven't done much digging into that, but there's a name for us. New Oriental Education and Technology. Now, this is really interesting. This is actually an American company that does tutoring services in America, but also China. Now, you would probably be very aware that the Chinese government cracked down a lot of the tutoring services in China, making them essentially, they have to be non-profit businesses now. So that wiped out all the Chinese education companies, and this is an American business. So I find this very interesting. Maybe it's a bit of a last man standing kind of idea where the Chinese market still is going to use these services, but they're going to have to go outside of China for them now. Anyway, there's something there. That's something that's I didn't think of until now, and I'm really glad I had a look at this portfolio just to get that idea. And then there's a buy of Amazon here as well. So we're all very familiar with Amazon. Next, I'll look at Mohnish Pabrai, and if I'm in Dataroma, it looks like there's only 2 businesses, but if I go over to TIKR Terminal, there's about 7 or 8 here. The reason is, again, they're in international stocks, so like there's Turkish companies here and Indian companies, and Micron's the biggest holding. We've seen Micron come up a few times, Lu in particular. Apparently they work together, according to Charlie Munger, on the Micron investment. There's definitely other investors in Micron as well. And we've got the big move is Seritage, and Seritage is actually almost doubled in price since I last looked at it. It was down at like $6 or $7 there for a while. Now it's like 12, 13 on the news of the liquidation of Seritage Growth Properties. Pabrai's missed out on that, I think, unfortunately. Shinnikin's actually getting taken over as well. That's a position that I have in my portfolio, and they're getting bought out for about 1,600 yen, and it looks like Mohnish Pabrai is going to miss out on that one as well. So unfortunate timing there from Mohnish Pabrai, but he's been killing it with racists, so I don't think he has anything to worry about there. Now, the next person I'm looking at is Dennis Hong at SureSpring Partners, and I really like Dennis Hong, and I really like his investment philosophy. He has been getting crushed as well, a little bit like Rob Vinall, but I really still enjoy the way he thinks about investing in stocks. And even though I don't have any of these investments in my portfolio and I can't get on board with most of these, I still find it fascinating. So I still like to look at this, and it's really good for ideas. IAC is where I've also found this company through Dennis Hong, and I've made videos on the channel here about this one. I love this business. Now, Dennis Hong has actually told me that it's a bit of a legacy purchase of his. I think it might have been back in the early days of SureSpring Partners, and he had no reason to sell it because it's been a great investment, and he just keeps it. So I don't know whether he would make that same investment today, but there's no reason to sell it, so he's still got it there. Seed Limited has been getting punished. Coupang, that's the South Korean online shopping place. He hasn't really changed much there. But the new buys, we've got Hilton Worldwide, so the Hilton, okay, so the resorts. That's interesting that he's bought into them. I haven't had a look at. I thought they were really heavily indebted, but okay, maybe there's something there. Snowflake and Blend Labs. I had a little look at both these companies. This is Blend Labs in ticker terminal, and the first thing that shocks me is just the average diluted shares outstanding, and it's just been like rapidly expanding rapidly diluting shareholders, and I hate seeing that. Like, I know they're chasing growth, and I get it, I guess, and maybe going to the public markets is a good way to raise money, but as an investor, like, this feels too risky for me. I really don't like share dilution. And then Snowflake, which I find fascinating that he's bought into Snowflake. This is just so far advanced for me. This is way outside my comfort zone. I think it's way outside most of our comfort zone. And if I look at the shares, the dilution of shares, it's essentially doubled from 2021 to 2022. I know they IPO'd not that long ago, but still, like, that is some serious diluting of shares going on there. And it's already a massive company. It's already at $55 billion already. So I don't get this. I think I don't know. Whatever I'm missing here, I'm not really interested in finding out. But at that price, at that share dilution rate, how much bigger can they possibly get? Like, even if it's a double or a triple, like, I feel like we're taking on way too much risk for a double or a triple. Anyway, Snowflake. The reason I find Snowflake so interesting is Chuck Akre at Akre Capital Management. He's not working there. He's retired, but they've also bought into Snowflake as well in the same quarter as Dennis Hong. So something is going on here with Snowflake. People find this fascinating. I don't know why. Anyway, not for me, that one. And the last person I want to look at today is Guy Spier at Aquamarine. And the reason I like looking at Guy Spier's portfolio is, firstly, we really never see many changes going on here in the recent activity. It's completely blank. And I kind of always like to look at this because it's a reminder of where I want to get to myself. Is I want to have a portfolio that I've done the work on, I'm really happy with, and I then can just sit back and just let the businesses do their thing, let them run. So this is actually more of like my goal in my investing life is to have this recent activity part of my portfolio for a quarter, hopefully even a year, with no changes. That would be awesome. That's something that I work towards. That's why I look at Guy Spier's portfolio, and yeah, maybe it's something we can all strive for one day, because I think that will be beneficial for our portfolios and our wealth. Now, regarding where I buy and sell my shares, I use Interactive Brokers. There's a link in the description. I think they're the best and most reliable of the brokers out there. I also have an e-magazine where I update my watch list and give some market commentary and talk about some of my investments and things like that. There's a link in the description for that as well. And finally, there's a game that I'm playing with. There's about 30 or 40 of us at the moment, and I have a Discord group. And the game is we're making a paper trading account where we have $1 million where we can all invest and practice strategies and talk about different investing ideas and see how good we are as potential money managers. And I think this is a cool way to build up some sort of track record that we can look back in a few years' time, and it's good to have a bit of a group around us all starting at the same time, and we can hopefully learn ideas off each other. So the game starts right now in August. The link in the description for the Discord group, that takes you to the instructions for get the paper trading account set up. So it's all there. And that's it. Hope you've enjoyed, and see you next week.